All right, this is a story about a very great Jew in the history of Judaism. He lived like about 100, some 120 years ago, something. And his name was Rabbi Yisroel of Salant. Rabbi Yisroel of Salant. Rabbi Yisroel of Salant, he was the father of the what's called the Musar movement. Musar movement. Before he came, it used to be that in the Litvish yeshivas, that they would sit and learn only Talmud. That's it, only Talmud. They wouldn't learn any sort of, character books that help your character or anything. And he brought into the Litvish world what was called Musar. Yeah, there was tremendous opposition, because they said you're stopping people from learning Talmud. Anyway, in the end, he succeeded. Okay, but he was a very great rabbi, and he had a lot of pupils, a lot of influence on a lot of people. Now, in those days, there was a tremendous movement away from Judaism. That was one of the reasons why he instituted this learning of this character development thing. It's not the same thing as Chassidut. It's not the same as Chassidut. It stresses much more turning from bad. But nevertheless, it was necessary. So, not to be lazy, not to get angry, not to have desires. Once he went to visit one of his pupils, and on Shabbat, he happened to be in some city where one of his pupils were on. He went to visit his pupil on Shabbat, and the pupil came out. Oh, Rabbi, he saw that his pupil was a little bit embarrassed. The pupil had already gotten married. He had children. He had been his pupil, 30 years earlier or whatever. Was a little bit embarrassed. He smelled smoke. It comes out from the other room. A young man, with no kippah, no yarmulke on his head, no tzitzit, no anything, shirt open, smoking a cigarette on Shabbat. He says, "Hi, Rabbi, how you doing? I still." And so he said, "This is my son. What can I do?" He's left. So he said, "Rabbi, you think you can prove to me that God exists? Here it says in your Bible that if a person lights a fire on Shabbat, that it says he's going to die. Here, I'm smoking a cigarette. I lit a match. And watch this. Puts a cigarette out, lights another one. Want a puff, Rabbi? Why am I not dead? Why didn't lightning come strike me? I'll show you hundreds, thousands of Jews. They left your superstitions and your this, and they do whatever they want to. They on Shabbat they drive. That's all the forbidden things. Eat not good food. All the things that it says that are punishable by death. And they don't die. What do you got to say?" So the rabbi, he really didn't know what to say. What's he supposed to say? You have to have faith. You have to this, whatever. So he noticed that there was a piano. And he said, "Well, can I come back? Shabbat is almost finished. I have to go and pray. I'll come back after Shabbat and I'll prove it to you." I said, "Okay, good." So the rabbi goes and prays, comes back after Shabbat. He says, "I see you have a piano." He says, "Yeah, yeah." He says, "I noticed on your wall that there's that you won prizes." He says, "Oh yeah, that's from my sister. She won these prizes in the international or whatever is the national Polish Chopin championships or something like that. She came in, first." So he said, I think that's a forgery. I think that that document is a forgery. I want you to call your sister out. I want her to play something for me to see if she's really so good." So he said, "Rabbi, I mean, you really understand piano. I mean, you would know the difference between, one composer and another composer. You're familiar at all with the works of, Chopin. I mean, even if she does play, how are you going to know?" And not only that, here you have it's signed. You have the document, the certificate, and it's signed. It's sealed by the greatest musicians. Here, look at, you can see their names. You probably don't even know what these names are. You don't even know what it is. I mean, do you know what music is? Do you have any idea what's going on? Every time anybody comes in and says about this document, my sister's going to have to prove to them as though you really understand, right, the greatness of it. He said, "Oh," Rabbi said, "That's the answer. That's the answer to your question." He said, "The Torah is given. We have the document. It's signed by the greatest rabbis. You understand, rabbis understand." And Jews have been giving their lives for this for generations and generations. Now, you think anyone that comes in and says, well, I want you to prove to me that it's true, that what God's going to have to split the sea, he's going to have to bring fire from heaven for every person that comes in and asks questions. And if you see these miracles, it's going to convince you of something. You're going to understand something, right? The Jews saw it when they went out of Egypt. They saw big miracles and they still worship the golden calf. You think it's going to really convince you of anything? The same way that it's ridiculous to expect that any person that doubts this music certificate should demand a proof. So the same thing, infinitely more so, anyone who sees the Torah has the right to demand the proof that God should prove it to them. I don't know if it convinced the young man or not, it doesn't say in the story. But the point is just to say that the Torah is not true because you don't see immediate results in the world. As well, even if you do see immediate results in the world, it still is not going to produce the desired effect the Torah wants to give, and that is to be totally devoted to the Creator for the sake of the truth, and not for the sake of what you receive from it. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Thank you very much, and God willing, see you tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is going to be Friday, and God willing, we will finish this Devar Malchut tomorrow and have another story.